Kissinger gives me the chills. Kissinger is the ultimate internationalist. Kissinger is the ultimate man without a country. Kissinger is the man who has no loyalty to any nation. Kissinger is the man who, through the ages, has been the internationalist. Now remember, this is a man who escaped Nazi Germany. Now he finds himself on Easy Street, feted by people since Rockefeller forward, and suddenly the man is amoral, in my opinion. No morality whatsoever, no center, no core, no sense of right or wrong. It's only a sense of power. This is a man who worships power. This is a man who thinks that power, absolute power, is beautiful. Greg in Wisconsin, welcome to the Savage Nation.
Hello, Mr. Savage. Before I refute your premises on China, I'd like to say that you're almost accusing Henry Kissinger as being part of the Mishpachna. But
I don't wait. A part of the who?
The Mishpachna, the Jewish mafia.
Well, wait a minute. I didn't use that phrase. You did. I didn't even know it existed.
Okay, well, there you go. But regarding China...
Well, what do you mean, there I go? You're the one who just said Henry Kissinger is being accused of being part of a Jewish mafia. Those are your words, not mine.
Well, yes, sir. It just seems like you're kind of applying that. You're kind of being hard on the guy. You know, I mean, you're making a certain...
Being hard on the guy? The guy is a man without a country. The man clearly has made a fortune on his dealings and double dealings with China, and he speaks of China in such glowing terms that I would think that you yourself, as a great Democrat, should be alarmed. Stay on the line, Greg. I'd like to hear your opinion.
Savage.
They will never be subordinate, and they shouldn't be subordinate. And as they are richer and stronger, they will insist on their views more. That's unavoidable.
So I'm positing that Henry Kissinger is basically a man without loyalty to America, and he seems to me to be a man without a country. More than that, I would say that he seems to be more in favor of the Chinese ascent than he is in rescuing America from our descent. That is my premise, and Greg in Wisconsin has taken umbrage with that position. I'd like to give him the microphone right now. Greg, go ahead, please. You're on the Savage Nation.
I appreciate it, sir. My first thought on this is you're an educated man, so you have to believe in Darwinian evolution. Politics consists of men and their ideas. So China taking over the world, the death camps, all these things are just a process of natural selection. So if you are an educated man and you believe in Darwinian evolution, so then why wouldn't you just have it consistently take its course? And the second thing is, you make...
Well, hold on. I don't know what you're... Are you asking me or telling me that I should accept death camps and that I should accept communism in America? Isn't that what you're implying, that I should accept communism arriving in America?
That is the logical consistency of Darwinian evolution, which you embrace, and which is education. Yes.
What? You're now jumping and telling me I embrace it?
Yeah, don't you? I mean, you study naturalism. I'm assuming you went to college. You have a PhD. So I mean, it's just like 1, 2, 3.
But why must you assume that you know what I think? How can you make such an assumption?
Well, because
so if you and I were alive in 1939, we should accept that Germany was on the ascent and we shouldn't fight Hitler because he was so powerful and his military was so superior to ours, and we shouldn't even fight him?
Well, education today is described as those who believe in certain tenets, and one of those...
Well, you're not answering the question. I'm trying to put this in context so you and I can have a reasonable discussion. If you were to look at the landscape of the world in 1939 and you look at the Panzer tank compared to the American tank, it was so superior in so many ways. The German Navy was superior to our Navy. The Messerschmitt was superior to anything we had. So if we took your worldview at that time, we just should have accepted the natural selection of the Nazis. Isn't that what you're saying?
No, absolutely not, because evolution is a struggle. So the struggle prevailed for the American side. If the struggle does not prevail for the American side this time with China, that's just the evolutionary process.
But don't you think it's possible that we, the American people, can awaken from our slumber, shake off the pharmaceutical industry from our brains, kick out the bureaucrat traitors, and save ourselves from a dictatorship?
Well, that has to do with mental IQ, which I don't think the IQ status is as superior as it was 100 years ago. And I think that's just part of
Well, but here's an interesting thing that you should know, Greg. The Germans at the time, especially the Nazis at the time, by what I have read, disavowed the American fighting man, saying he's soft, he's weak, he goes to the movies, he eats hot dogs and ice cream, he's not going to fight. The Japanese spit on the American soldier. They said they would never fight. You know all of that, don't you?
Yes.
But yet, when it came right down to it, the American fighting spirit prevailed. The dormant American fighting spirit arose from the ashes, and I say it can rise again. The thing we must do is awaken the consciousness of the people to what the traitors in our government and our media and our business communities have done to us with the big lie called free trade. Let's boil it down. You and I both know that this is not free trade. Would you agree with that?
Yes, but the problem is you're going against the theory of Darwinian evolution, which is the established foe of America. It's the established thought that is, if you're an educated man, Darwinian evolution should be part of your position. Are you telling me, Mr. Savage, that you do not believe in
You see, I don't know you're trying to play Clarence Darrow, but I don't quite know what your thesis is. What are you saying?
My thesis is that according to Darwinian evolution, as a first principle, if we take that as a first principle and we start there, the implications of that will follow. Death camps, China might rule the world, that there is no hope for mankind. It's just a biological flow of consistency. And if you're
in other words, you're in essence, you're a pessimist, and you think we should just all get ready to be ruled by the Red Star?
Well, you can still struggle. I mean, that's also part of natural selection, you would have to agree. But if that struggle does not prevail for our side, then so be it.
So you're arguing that would be okay?
I'm arguing that's the natural, since you study naturalism, that's the natural flow of Darwinian evolution.
That's assuming you know which way nature will flow. But if you actually do educate yourself to nature, you will find that it's not quite as even a flow as you suggest. There are times when the flow is unexpectedly changed dramatically for reasons we don't even understand. You know that as well. If you're an educated man, you can understand what I'm saying. There's no distinct order to the flow.
Right. But you do agree in Darwinian evolution, do you not, Mr. Savage?
Well, now you're trying to change the discussion to something else. Do I believe in Darwinian evolution? We're going to get off the track of China and social evolution. Why don't we focus instead on social evolution rather than Darwinian natural selection, and then we'll have maybe a better discussion. I'm of the opinion that we can still save America by putting in, let's talk Turkey here, put in a 20% tariff and tax China on their profits. What's wrong with that idea?
Well, that's another issue. You assert that there is something that's wrong without establishing what kind of wrong you're talking about. Now you're going in the realm of ethics. Are you talking about utilitarian ethics? Are you talking
I'm talking about saving America. Stop. Look, you're double talking yourself now because you're not making a very, I don't know what you're trying to get at. I think you're trying to sound very intelligent, and you may be, but you're not making a very good point. You started by saying I'm accusing Kissinger of being a member of a group I never heard of, and that was a very intelligent word. Would you repeat it again?
Mishpachna, which is the Yiddish German for a Jewish mafia.
But how do you know of such a group? I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, I studied, different things, the history of the mafia and so forth, and I came across Mishpachna. And the way you were talking about Mr. Kissinger, in a derogatory sense, he didn't come out and say that he was part of that, but it kind of sounded like you're kind of being hard on the guy.
Well, you've educated me to something I didn't know existed, but the fact of the matter is I don't think he's a member of any such group. I think he's simply a man who is Machiavellian in the more generic sense of what that means. He's out for himself, and he has no loyalty to any nation. He seems to me to be an agent of China. In fact, the man is a registered foreign agent. Are you aware of that?
Yes, but I was speaking in the close.
Are you also aware that ex-Secretary of State under Bill Clinton, whatever her name was, that old Yenta, is also a registered foreign agent who lobbies on behalf of China's industries here in the United States?
I did not know that, no. But it's not
wait, what's her name? I can never remember her name.
Joyce Myers. Is that who you're thinking of?
No. The idiot, the one who made a fool of herself repeatedly. Madeleine Albright, who made a fool of herself repeatedly, is a registered foreign agent the last I checked.
But what's wrong with that?
But Sandy Berger is a registered foreign agent. Sox. His firm, Hogan and Hartson, in Washington, the last I checked, was the single largest law firm that represented business interests both ways. And so it's not limited to Henry Kissinger. The last I checked, if he's still living, and I don't know if it's true, Bob Dole was also a lobbyist for China.
At the end of the day, according to Darwinian evolution, if you can't beat them, join them. And I have no problem with that.
So you would like to live in a totalitarian state. You think, why do you suppose you would survive in such a state?
Well, survival is an interesting issue. You know, according to psychology, sexual instincts is part of that means of survival. And I don't know if I'm going to survive. So, but that doesn't mean that it's right or wrong.
Would it bother you if they arrested people in the future America ruled by a Chinese communist dictatorship under vassals such as Obama, if that's the case, where there would be no freedom of speech, no freedom of the press? Would that bother you at all?
Well, I'm not trying to be complicating, but you're begging the issue by not defining your terms. And you know,
I'm defining my terms very clearly. I wouldn't exist in China. Let's be very clear. You wouldn't be able to call a radio show in China. Let's make it very simple. You have freedom of expression where you can get up and say whatever you want. Isn't that a wonderful thing?
Well, I don't know what you mean by wonderful. In order to say something is wonderful or great or bad, you have to analyze that according to a normative or a standard. And you don't have a standard, so you can't say what's right or wrong. So let's just start with Darwinism.
Well, I believe in liberty. Do you believe in liberty?
But why do you believe in liberty? What's your...
Why do I believe in liberty? Because I don't want anyone telling me what to think or what to do or what to read or what not to read. Isn't that pretty clear?
And that's an opinion, and it's not biologically...
Oh, come on. Now you're being absurd. You don't know what liberty is? Then what world are you living in?
Well, I'm trying to be consistent, and we may be opponents...
Well, but you're not being consistent. In your attempt to be consistent, you're actually being quite limited in what you're saying. You're not being consistent at all. You're arguing against liberty and saying we don't even know what liberty is. Actually, so you're starting to sound like George Orwell's writings where freedom is slavery. Is that what you're arguing? Freedom is slavery and war is peace and peace is war? Is that what you're arguing?
I'm arguing that you don't have an epistemology unless you compare it to a normative. And you don't.
Now you're throwing in another big word in order to obfuscate your own mind and make us think you're smarter than you actually are. What are you saying? You could live in a dictatorship as happily as you're living in this country?
I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that's natural.
Well, let's start with the principles of democracy. Liberty, equality, fraternity. What does that mean? Where did it come from? Do you know?
Liberty? No, you tell me.
No, I'm not going to tell you. That makes it sound like you know you know it, and you just want me to repeat it for you, but you don't know where that comes from. Liberté, equalité, fraternité. Does that help you?
John Locke helped originate some of these.
Oh, well, now you're switching. No, that was not John Locke. Liberty, equality, fraternity. Where did it come from?
The Constitution.
No, it came from the French Revolution. Liberty, equality, fraternity. So let's start with the two first words. What does the word liberty mean to you?
Well, the word liberty is I think it's a Latin word that denotes freedom. And freedom is a negation, meaning that you're free from slavery. So that's
okay. What does the word equality mean to you?
Which I don't believe we're all equal, and that's an interesting subject. But equal means that we're ontologically equal, but economically we're not, meaning that there's different ranks within society. So
is that a good thing or a bad thing? You think that a bum in the street should have the same amount of housing and clothing and et cetera that you have?
Well, you're using the word good and bad again, which without...
Wait a minute. Excuse me. You didn't hear me say good or bad. Should a bum in the street who, as a result either of bad genetics, bad parents, a bad blower, the use of drugs, weak character, if you want to put it that way, winds up in the gutter, should he be given all of the good things that you enjoy?
That would depend on the natural flow of his life with his biology, which comes back.
In other words, so you believe in communism?
Well, you'd have to define communism. You mean the communism?
You know, you're going to drive us all crazy with your lack of understanding of what you're even saying. What is your political system, Greg? Which political system do you belong to?
Well, that's an interesting thing, too.
Everything is interesting to you. You can't answer a question. Everything is interesting, but you don't answer a question. Why is it so interesting that you can't answer a question? What's interesting to me is that we've talked for 10 straight minutes on a national radio show, and we still don't know where you're coming from.
The etymological term for politics...
Here we go again. Another word you read in a dictionary. Are you a communist or not?
I am not a communist, no. I am just trying to start consistently with the first principle to see where the natural selection flows in each human life. Because politics...
So you would like to say that what? You're a natural selectionist?
I would like to say that if you apply an educated...
All right, that's enough already. I'm exhausted. I'll be right back.